This report is applied for the PRME Mentorship Program in April to June 2025, with applicable for two of my mentees, and because we don't have time to get to each other every Thursday. So I think recording program could be a good way to cover the topic we need and explain all the necessary information that we all need, because we're not reveal much of your information in here, but that definitely something that we can learn from each other. Great things we do. So let's begin. We're talking first with topics that the program suggests to us. I have in here the minimum is 6 topics we already selected, and two sessions per month. Which we have more than that. We have 4 sessions per month. So in next few months, we don't just focus on answer the question very clearly. The problems and the concern you're having. Of course, my methodology is a little bit different with this kind of mentorship program that the organization suggests, because I believe in the self-study and the self-research is something revoking your curiosity, and then you can find and craft your pathway. And I just the one who will be supported with you. Okay, let's start with week 1, the defining career goals and sustainability pathway. That we expect is some understanding about sustainability and how your career will be developed based on the different background. Of course, we talk about multiple different sustainability career path. We talk about key sustainability domains with ESG, circular economy, sustainable finance. Agree to do, and we already go through it. The sustainability and leadership, which is explore a role leadership in driving sustainability. Initiate a key trait of sustainable leaders and how to develop them. Case study individual sustainability leaders and their impact. Option topic 3 is we talk about skills for sustainability career, which is hopefully we'll discuss it this week. We identifying key soft and technical skill needed sustainability roles, sharing some industry specific skill requirement, and learning resource, practical exercise, and problem solving sustainability challenge. Okay. I think we're not picking topics for daily life mentor basically is showing how my really realistic daily life. Topic 5 about industry trends and real world application we're going to cover next time. Topic 6 that we definitely have the reverse mentoring, fresh perspective, innovation, and you guys actually with our program in every section I have all fresh new perspective on both of you, so that will be great things we do. Topic 7, we agree about networking and professional branding, which is we've been talking a little bit about that. Looking for a couple branding and certificate program, but definitely when having more with that with support of the program director and the website. Option 8, topic 8, that we talk about career readiness and job search strategy, which is I already provide some of the website here, and definitely going to help you with some resume building and some interview preparation, and job search website of job board, definitely something to look forward to. Number 9 is a reflecting section, right? To try to reflect the skill and the growth and the strength and action plan, which is we hopefully there to have should be early, but it's okay. These are suggestions of the program. Doesn't mean you have to go through it, but cover topics are interesting. So we actually did cover my with my ideas, how I approach things first. Share about this topic and what question and what suggestion I have and what the meaning of that, and we'll find the clear pathway when you answer that question. All right, so begin with what we talk about, ESG, right? What is ESG? Well, ESG basically is the focus of this mentorship program. Of course, we have other field. We have green economy. We have circular system, productivity, but we not really touch on that. We have both of you guys expect to know about ESG component of your career. So we talk a little bit about ESG. Okay, the basics, super simple. What is ESG? ESGs began coming in 2004. Not really crazy. Long time ago. This is 2004. Uh, it began with a United Nations Global Compact and UNEP Finance Initiative, and they make a report that names "Who Cares Wins." Right, a report. I did have a link inside that, and it's basically it just provide calling out the terms ESG, which is environment, social, and governance, insight into the capital market. So it's heavily begin with capital markets, with finance, with investment, with investor, um, with assets management and security brokerage, and analyzes the organization more than with the boarding idea now. So we know that what is served for the origin, and even now when we have all other terms and standard, it still serve for the same thing. We still serve for analysis the organization's portfolio, for assets management and investment, and securities brokerage. So basically, the graph on the right side, the very basic graph of this, basically is the one having us die. This explain the key idea of ESG. Right, we talk about that, a lot of component, but let's see how it originally began. And I pull out this graph from that report. I'm not making it up. It just went in there. So we can see it. ESG, the core value of it is better investment market and more sustainable society. So we'll talk about sustainable society later, but understand the key idea is for investment market. So this product is for investor and working on the investment field. And we just confuse so much with other politics and education and other terms, finance, credit, whatever of that. But all of that begin of this ESG component is for investment. Okay, let's begin with on top. Analysis, analysts and broker, right? They use ESG factor into mainstream research because both of these factor they use multiple factors in research and report in analyze the company organization for a portfolio for the investment. So we should add ESG on that. Second, investor assets manager who put money down and into the report, into the research of this factor. First, they should reward the ESG research, which is based on the analysts and broker. Should reward them and then integrate ESG into the investment process. Like investor looking for um, some kind of sustainable investment portfolio, environment support portfolio, sustainable society portfolio. They should put ESG in there, in their study, in their researching. And the same thing with assets manager. Assets manager, basically the one who operate the fund, operate the capitals. They want to invest in company. They want to see some of their component in that. So it really ESG is a one representative of the values that the investor want to have, want to maintain, want to support, which is including a sustainable component. And then we have the pension trustee, basically the one who managed the pension plan, which is pretty huge in the Western world. So they definitely want to integrate mandates and selection of managers. So it means that trustee or the trustee of the pension, they should use ESG component and ESG understanding as a part to select a manager who is assets manager who move money in the pension plan. What does that mean? Government and multilateral agency is proactively consider is in PF incentive, right? It's like a personal friend, and like an investment that they want to do. What that mean? This part is for the government and government investment plan. They not really use pension. They never talk about other investment that government using. So the difference between the governmental investment and private investment is government. They have a trust. They have trustee. They have a board trustee. Have bunch of people who don't really understand about finance. They don't understand about regulation, and they serve to the representative a couple of groups of public system like teacher, worker, some kind of politicians. But they don't really understand about finance. That's why they need to select assets manager who the manager in here. And now they want to add this report suggests that those leader, the board should adding ESG as a component to select the financial professional to run their public money. That's what this means. Okay, regulators, stock exchange, government, which means the one who bring in the standard, the one who uh, write out the regulation to make sure the investment with transparency and for benefit of the investment environment. So they suggested that that this report suggested that it should apply uh, ESG into the reporting standard, right? That's why after the regulation, we see that couple of organization, public trading company have ESG report, sustainability report in their portfolio, in their annual report to the different uh, stock exchange system, right? We have listing particulars, which is they require the government or the regulators require to have a separate listing a category for ESG company, ESG fund, ESG portfolio. We see some of that in Western worlds like United States and Europe. I don't see much in other countries, the world, but it's a good way to begin with. It's just the way it is. If you cannot force people to do it, people will not do it. That happened in the investment market, right, in finance. You cannot make me do it, right? Actually, the regulator can. So now they expect the regulators forcing investor, right, brokers, and other trustee to really bring in the ESG component, right? Regulation by regulation. You talk about NGOs, right? NGOs, what they can do? With they really not really making money, and they're not really making regulation, but they are still a big part of the market. What they do is they provide objective ESG information and company to public and the financial community. What that mean? It means NGO will become like a third party, trustworthy, informative system. You provide uh, the information about ESG report objectively for any public company, so that you back up the information that analysts and asset manager and the government already talk. So you will try to make sure the information be objective and not really fall into the private sector or benefit of public sector. Don't let the individual interests or politics, corruption involved into the ESG value. So it's just like a general idea. So that consultant is the one who consults different system. We consult the broker, we consult the asset manager, we consult the government agency, and we consult of the government regulator, and we consult the NGOs. What should do? Consultant now in their practice, they should combine ESG research with other industry level research. They have multiple different research in consultant world, so we make sure they adding ESG research in that. And then the support, demand, and awareness building. With that mean? It means that in society, increasing the understanding and demanding to know more about ESG. Right, the consultant will the one who provide ESG research for them, adding more with the analysts and broker research, and also to build up the awareness of the community and the client to know that ESG is a real thing. They have standard. You can be have a standard regulated by the government, right? You have a specialist on that. They have a couple NGO talk about that. A couple trustee agency, government agency talk about that. Asset manager want to bring in ESG into their portfolio, right? Analysts now talk about ESG in their annual report, in the quarterly report. So you should be aware of that happen in the market. And have it here, accountants and educators. What our accountant do? Accountant facilitate standardization, which is we have in here is one of the mentee roles is accountants major. So that's why it's a part you can begin to think about it, standardization, which is the first thing you should think of. You follow up accounting career that you can learn on the standard and which standard will apply for your position in your career. How you do? All right, educators basically is they facilitate high level thinking and training of ESG issue, which is mean what we do up here is kind of high level training because we're thinking was we talk about the origin of idea, right? We talk about how it's forming, what is standard, how it apply, what we can do, what we will do, right? So that is the job of the teacher in multi level, from high school to undergrad to graduate to training, right? Coaching, all the kind of coming in. So they teach you about idea, and accounting firms, accounting practice will keep you up to all the standard we have in the world. So our standard is something really important. Okay, the companies is when leading the way by implementing ESG principle, improving report and disclose. So that's the current trend in the multiple companies in the world start implementing ESG report and they show up the principle, and they show up the disclosure, like what they do to follow ESG, what the benefit of that, and what the benefit of society, what the company bring in. So companies actually the one who lead the way, right? They make it first, and then analysts talk about that in the portfolio. Investor managers start seeing that ESG and start invest money on that, along with the government agency and trust board of trustee started investing in that. And then we have the huge capital, and regulators start to think about bring up the standard on that require public company or company working on IPO, right? We already have that report ready every year. NGO back up information for all these factors. Consultants start teaching support on other factors about ESG and like this. Accountants who are doing internal facilitating of standardization, which is support for this report or company, and other research or different firm. Of course, a teacher teaching people about this idea that how we maintain the ESG. And with me it's still right now today. Even for now, we're at the early state of this with all the other financial crisis. We don't see the internal change inside the company and brokers and assets manager yet, but the regulators really work so hard on that to really bring in the regulation and standard first, and then the factor need to take to work on that. So that basically it is. So when I talk about this graph, you basically can provide all of the guidance of what career path you can develop in this field of ESG. If you're accountant, you need to just working on the standardization. Just work on all the standards you have, right? On the standard we have so far in the world, and what the component of that, what the future of that, and how it facilitated inside the company if you want to work for the company. And you work company as an accountant, you're working on the ESG principle, you go on ESG report, ESG disclosure, and ESG strategy. Right? If you work in the broker dealers in the investment field, you work on ESG research, right? ESG analysis. If you work in assets management firm, we talk about ESG research, right? And ESG investment strategy. If you work for the government agency, you can talk about ESG uh, report. We talk about ESG management and ESG analysis about the factor. And we work on the ES. If you work in the government, you talk about ESG listing. You talk about ESG standard, which is the same thing we do on with internal company, but we do it like a government level, which is to read multiple reports. If you work on NGO, you still can talk about ESG information, and we talk about ESG analysis for all other firms so far. You work like a consultant, you still can do ESG research, right? And you work like a teacher, you're teaching with ESG. So that is basically accounting from a major can work in any kind of this company factor in ESG. Actually, is one of the most core career in this industry. If you are a project manager, right, which is the second mentee of this program of mine, and MBA program, the project manager, you can do the same thing. Of course, you cannot, facilitate like accountant, but we still can talk about teaching ESG and understanding ESG inside, right? Talk about the companies, right? The project, right? The big project, you can do the project management about ESG implementation in the company, right? You can leading the project of ESG report, in analysis. A broker, we talk about ESG factor, that ESG research inside of this, but of course it requires you more about finance knowledge. If you're working investor and assets manager side, of course you gotta read about ESG research. Other project in here, the government agency, you need to work on ESG component and report too. The government will talk about standard and listing. For listing, you just read through all the companies and fund ESG report and bring them to what kind of listing they should. And you can be an NGO too if you have ESG knowledge and analysis. You could be what kind of consultant too. You really understand the ESG research, and that's pretty much the basic idea of the ESG career. If you understand ESG standard and you understand the ESG report and ESG regulation, that basically you can do work in any kind of this sector. Oh, let's come back. After 2004, this report, 2006, we have PRI launch, which is the principle of responsible investment. It's launched by United Nations, right? Try promoting ESG as center component of investing signatory some meeting to integrate ESG analysis and decision making. What I mean is just United Nations provide the PRI principle, but it's just the smallest suggestion in promoting the ESG power more than the requirement. Of course, we all know the United Nations cannot, mandatory making any country change the law, but They give a lot of suggestions. So now they kick in for ESG standard from the United Nations. After 2010, ESG got a mainstream in global finance, stock exchange regulators, and rating agency. The ESG standard, and a couple of framework like GRI, SASB, TCFD, is a couple of different roles in this way of bringing ESG to the world. So basically, we create more standard and we make that work, implement it one by one, and try to bring it in to suggest a different factor like regulators. They can put it in. Companies, you should put it in. Nice to have. Analysts should think about it too. So standard, report, standard, and research of ESG is a key idea for this career. Okay, so we talk about standard in here, a couple of different types of standard, but in this program, I will not provide much of a standard training, except I have a special request for that. But standard basically is the thing we apply the most in the ESG now. Of course, we should learn about PRI. We should talk about uh, European Union Non-Financial Report Directive (NFRD). We talk about IFRS, which is some kind of international report for the sustainability related. And of course, with our United States, we have SEC requiring some kind of report, but we'll not go deep this time. So that is something when we understand a career requirement for their ESG. Now's the time to talk about pathway. Of course, I just give you a suggestion. The idea here is you understand that the pathway is a long-term game. Have different steps. It's hard to make everything clearly. Everything like and we do this and we do that and become this and become that is pretty hard. But it feels that for yourself. Be realistic with yourself, who you are, where you begin, with the best way you're doing that. I think we do it really good so far. So, but I will make sure you include all the components in this. First, purpose of the career. Why you here? Why you want to build a career in ESG? Do you care about ESG? Right? Do you bring in ESG into the career value? Right? Why you do that job? Right? If you don't care about the environment, you don't really care about social benefit. Please, this might not the career for you. So define who you are. The purpose of the career is important. And when you define it in ESG understanding, define it in ESG standard, and define it in the practice. But the value, the same thing. So value is what you bring in to the career, right? You want to do it, but you cannot bring in anything. For example, one of you is accountant, which is really important. If you bring in the standardized value, you bring in ESG knowledge, you bring in the good ESG report. That is your value, right? You got to define your value. And if you cannot bring in the value for now, you got to figure out how you bring in the value in future. That's why we have a couple ESG certificate in there, so you can learn about that. So that you can really bring in a real value, vision, right? How you do it, how you present the proposed in value, how you bring in the value, either short term and long term, right? Mission, right? How do you visualize the vision? Basically, is my mission is do this, do that, right? Strategic plan, how I do it, right? Breakdown in every step by step, and action plan, what I do. That basically. So strategic plan is just more like a bullet the goal. Action plan is really more like action. So everybody different. That's why we're trying to see how you guys doing with that. Okay, career pathway. I don't really make something really specific yet, but of course we'll talk about that later when you really answer the question of mine. Of course, we don't begin with entry level, and then we do a mid level with the executive. Of course, we have the senior, junior, but here is some position they should do. ESG basically the one if you want to learn to become analyst and you want to be intern, you can be project support, right? Or you can talk about CSR. Basically CSR in corporate sustainability, corporate social responsibility. That is the term of that. It used to be just focused on social terms of ESG, but now they still keep that. And you can develop from the CSR to the ESG. And then we talk about manager and risk consultant position. And then in the highest level, we talk about CSO. They did have this position so far in a couple company what company was focused on the ESG, right? ESG strategist, we did have this position. Impact fund manager, we did have that position in some asset management firms. And advisor, that's that. So a couple certificates you should prepare. And so that is the pathway so far. But we got to see what your expertise and what you're interested in. I did find out one pretty interesting job board app, and I have a link right here. Go sustainablebusiness.com. Right. So when you click, I think we're done with my side and some general idea of the topic one. What do you expect about the ESG, the career path, and some job board to find it out. And now we talk about two private research of the mentee. I have in here the first one, Saver. Okay, defining career goals and sustainability pathway. Yeah, a little bit background. Saver here have interesting in project management on an MBA program, and definitely want to add in ESG in his value career. So let's see what he do. Objective. Okay. Personal professional goal in relation to sustainability is great, right? Beginning with the realistic things. I definitely expect everybody to think about when we have a career with ESG. You want a career with that, you got adding the value into the path. So I left up a comment there. What do you know about sustainability? I mean, what I can refine the question is that what does sustainability mean to you? But you want to adding the relationship with your goal, right? Personal and professional with this. So you gotta know what it's mean to you, right? It's more meaning to you is way more, important than it's mean to others because it's your goal, it's your life, your career. You gotta find a definition. There's among hundreds of definition out there, among the hundreds of ways of approaching ideas out there that relevant to you. And of course, his objectives to be to understand what sustainability career in my field, which is great too, right? Values and interest and how to connect it to SDG and ESG. Yeah, we don't talk about the SDG yet, but in other program I used to teach where we talk about it. SDG is the Sustainability Development Goals of the United Nations, have 17, right, in 2015 to 2030. And ESG is something they coined out in 2004, so before it. And it's talk about investment market. So it serves a little bit like a financial side of the SDG and a little bit standardized. So that is the connection. But we can talk about the deeply connection of this in different topics. Okay, his personal goal, the professional goal, expect the idea, right? MBA, have a positive impact the government, the environment, society. Right. Right. Yeah, and we're adding ESG component in that, bringing value community. Yeah, that's what we need to do. Make clear who we want to impact, where to go, and of course, I leave the comment is a good goal. Professional role, we want to work with Deloitte as consultant or project manager. Yeah, expertise, project management, business strategy, right? You want to be a consultant for SDG and ESG principle, improve social impact, advise the organization how to integrate sustainability value in operation and long-term development. Great. So one thing I give it to him is shut a job description of project manager or consultant in Deloitte or your dream position and explain to me what you need to improve. Well, I use a kind of pragmatic approach of things, right? You don't want to work Deloitte. You want to work like a project manager. Integrate your field. Show me some job description. Show me the real job demand for that. Is that position available? You might not apply for now, but you might apply for future. Is that available or not? And how that work, right? That's something we can discuss when you have a real goal, right? The goal need to be measurable, right? It can be attainable. So with a job description for Deloitte or other organization, it's easier to find the goal, the target for develop. And I think I did find some links adding the second topics, but it's a good start. Okay, we still career in a PT Freeport in Asia because it's an alternative, right? It doesn't materialize. I think it's doable. Saver. If we have to prepare for that. And I'm not really familiar with FP, PT Freeport, but I think it's a good organization. And I just ask them to give me some overview about PT Freeport. It's your dream job. And so the search the job description and analyze it. Next week, I want to expect the second topics. That's great. You have to really concise, clear topics, clear goals to hit. That bring you closer to your goal. Okay, long term to build up a sustainable IT consulting startup. Okay, they want to do IT to really give solution to bring up sustainability. Have company adopt digital solution, enhance energy efficiency, optimize resource usage, reduce waste, right? Innovation solution, business empower them to take smarter, more sustainable decision. Startup because providing technology and not only drive business growth, but also contribute to global sustainability agenda. Yeah, it's great. Great idea. Like a supportive system. And I did tell him that I have a startup. I don't say that I'm own it. Just consult from one of my friends. Related to sustainability focus in Vietnam right now, which is IT based too. And I asked him that you want to take that internship position. And I did talk with the founder and the CEO, and he's pretty okay with that. Yeah. And then we're working on with a position for Saber. And the second point, we talk about give me another overview of how you understand about consulting and startup entrepreneurship. We'll talk about big word in here, consulting. What understand? What difference between consulting and advisory and coaching and mentoring? See different. You see different. You see the process of doing it. And we'll talk about startup, right? Entrepreneurship. Build up your own business. What do you think about it? How do you understand it? Are you ready for that? Right? So that's how it works. Okay. Next slide. We need to understand what a sustainability career you might feel. Right? For me, sustainability career involves profession. Focus not only personal succeed and financial gain, also create positive impact environment in society. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and I just get in here, great idea, and it's bringing SDG and ESG value into the career. That's exactly what he tried to do. Is that the right way? Okay, and as a consultant and project manager at Deloitte, involved, right, initiate ESG, right, PT report, and being sustainable mining practice, I guess, the mining company. Yeah, that minimize environmental harm and promote social responsibility. Okay, right. He have some clear idea in here. We're looking at pretty good for now. Okay, you talk about the last slide here, but the value, strength, interest, how to connect. That's the ESG. About social responsibility, right? Responsible management. So, right. This is related to CSR, corporation social responsibility that we will talk about. CSR and ESG and sustainability report, CSR report, all connect together. Just bringing in a new idea for the business that, well, this is not about making money. Then I'll make sure that you're aware of how it impacts society, environment, basically, yes. So they all connect together. So you have time, think about the CSR uh, report and bring it into your knowledge base. Okay, we talk about leadership, right? Project management, fostering sustainable growth and employment, of course. Yeah, how we do, right? Set leading by example. You bring it in your career and you inspire others, bring it in their career with a clear goal. That's exactly a mentorship of this program doing. The recurring mentor in this field already bring in the ESG value in the field of their practice and inspire others to do it. How you begin to do it and how does it go and what I can we helps the newcomer to bring in the value. Okay, third, new technology. Using technology to enhance efficiency to reduce impact like SDG and ESG. Yeah, of course, technology is a big deal. How do you apply is a big question. You got to answer in startup. Okay, that'll be it. Great. Okay, so we talk about roles. A little bit background. GS accounting major. Uh, Looking forward to get graduate program. What should she do? ESG or something else? She's in China, so if she target on China market, it's a little bit hard to take a look. But let's see how it goes. Okay, we are defining career goal. Sustainability pathway in here. Content accounting sustainability goals and problem. Great. Okay, accounting sustainability. ESG is an investment philosophy and core indicator for non-financial. Uh, non-financial. I'll try to remember what is here. Performance. Okay, right. So I put it down. Not really. Read the ESG original study again, which is the report we just said. Right? Is that investment philosophy? Not really. It's more like not really investment. It origin from investment, but it's more like financial philosophy, right? Because we talk a lot about ESG like investment, but now we go to standardize and governance. So not only about investment, it begins with investment, but it's way more than that, right? Its core indicator is non-financial performance, right? But it's not really the core too, because even ESG portfolio in Wall Street, United States, Europe, it's still take a look at performance too, and the performance of that is still something, and it's not the best performance so far, but it's still growth. So the performance is still the component of the ESG portfolio, ESG investment, but they try to balance it and try to balance between financial performance and non-financial performance. So that is a ESG invest. Uh, that kind of a little bit confused in definition in here. That's why it is quite hard. But I think it's a good start. A kind of abstractive way to approach it. Okay, we talk about accounting, provide information support. Of course, measure report corporate performance. We think about the graph again. Let's see, accounting is definitely key roles in giving ESG standard insight. The impact of ESG on corporate finance, reduce risk and cost, which is right. Enhance the financial ability, lower the cost capital. In the long term, could be. In the short term, not really. Okay, strengthen the brand value and competitiveness. Yeah, that's true. If you're adding ESG value into your brand and competitiveness, you did have some competitive edge on that, right? Okay, ESG promote the development and accounting theories and practice as well. Very interesting. Expanding scope of accounting, which is interesting. Like we study more about this, and promote the improvement of accounting information disclosure, which is related to a little bit of technical skill. Okay. Goal, a goal in short term, goal abroad, pursue a postgraduate degree. Dimension, direction, ESG and accounting. Okay. Okay, talk about good idea. We analyze what the cost benefit another degree and how it contribute to your career path. The education is not is not the major path of the career. Yeah, degree is good, but degree is a part of education, and education is part of knowledge accumulation. But career is an apply of knowledge, right? You want to have a goal in career, you should have the goal as a position, right? Then just about education. For example, target what job you like, and when you get a job, and that job require you a postgraduate degree. So now it makes sense to take the degree. If that job not require you to take that degree, why do you take it, right? It's not serve for the job; it's serve for you. So that's something to talk about the cost benefit analysis of this. Okay, but short term, learn more ESG knowledge to this mentorship program and Coursera. I did provide for both of them, each of them 2 different Coursera certifications and knowledge about ESG and accounting and finance and project management. They check in how's it go. Yeah, right up, right here. Good ideas. How the certificate working, certificate going. So let's see what they're doing next week. In the long terms, right? Talk about cognitive level ESG in China. All right, okay, see it right here. I don't understand the majority. That's why. Become a sustainable development as accountant, which is pretty interesting term. I asked her, how can you define this position? Because it's not very new. Do you have a job description for this? But sometimes you got to do it. And it's a brilliant idea. You looking for the job that it not even have the demand in the market. It not even appear in the market. But you know that in the future it's going to be. So you work for the future, which is great. This is the whole idea of goal in the long term. But you got to have imagination and make it clear and concise to turn that imagination into the vision, into the purpose, the goal, the strategic plan. So the whole idea of defining this position will have you vivid your goal, vivid your dream. So I'm really looking for this. So pretty great position. Okay, second, have Chinese manufacturing enterprise promote the implementation and realization of ESG, which is great too. You try to educate, support, and change the whole industry. Let's say the good goals. But what is the current context of China's manufacturing market now? These things is not represented. Okay, this is a listing of manufacturing companies. It's great. The majority of them not really understanding. Okay, it's fine. But currently, it's not really. So we're gonna talk about what target, what process we want to do, right? This is good. Okay, problem. Okay, so she did give me some problem in here, which is fine. For individual implementation, mainly lie in the research methods. Tools, the only emerged relative short time is main development stage, early 20th century, which is correct. But this is ESG, just new terms in early 20th century, 2004. Right, this is right here. All the certification and our mentorship can help, so we can bring in more methodology and tools for her for ESG. That is the standard. I think only standard report is the only tools we have so far for this and have experience of other ESG professional. Second, difficulty in combining qualitative and quantitative analysis. ESG research require both of this, right? Yeah, effectively combine these two aspects require appropriate research method and tools. Let's still about limit about the research tools. Okay, let's say good. Yeah, and ask her how her research methodology going. Right, is good enough to be called specialist or analyst because that's basically the skill of that position. Uh, you want to do something, you want to figure out the truth throughout science landscape. You got to test it. You got to collecting data, analyze this. Fighting, interpreting data, and contribute in discussion and further study. So basically, methodology is everything in science. And you want to work on kind of apply science like specialist, analyst, right? Methodology is everything too. You make the whole career with methodology. So I want to check in if her methodology going with that. What she learned? Did she know how to conduct? Did she know how to write a methodology? How to select the methods, how to collect the data, how to interpret the data, how to test the hypothesis. That's the key idea of this. Right? Qualitative, quantitative is basically a mixed approach. Okay. Like the professional research tools, we talk about tools again. Right? Yeah, that's true. That's what we can learn from the other standardized report of industry. Okay, I think she did talk about this later too. The career, although there's a large talent gap, I haven't seen the recruitment relevant position in some recruit companies still want a talent good enterprise. Right? What should I do? Right? Let's see what I talk with her up here. Now it depends. You need to find the real demand of ESG. It's a job in the gap to see the gap, right? We talk about talent gap, but how big it is, right? How to see the real demand. See up there. I will provide some job board focus on ESG job, like the sustainable business job board will show. Internationally, for example, United States, we have a lot of different tools for that. Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, it's easy to find it. The other nation, they have their own job board too, but in China, you want to focus on it pretty hard. Okay, and I think, yeah, talk about you guys need also to actively search. So I only tell them, just search the demand first. Is that a market demand for that, or you just think about it? So that is the difference between the reality and assumption. Let's find out. Let's see how it's going, right? And we talk about so many ESG framework. How should I choose among GRI, SASB, CDP? So I did talk about good call, right? Do some research about each framework. It's normally depend on your opportunities. See what framework is fit. I normally advise mentee master of all of the framework. Yeah, basically, when you master all of the framework, it open more door for you. But each of that is a little bit different. And if it's not different, it basically it's just overlap. So why not know all of them? What I'm suggestion. All right, that pretty much is. And I think both of them doing a great job. They understand the idea, understand the concept, bring in so many questions, which is great because it's important to them, so they can think about what they need to do and how they do it better. I'm really looking for the second materials that we can discuss about this. Thank you. I'm looking for second topics.